And I think Average Joe's is in the perfect place to help men change from the reactive to the proactive. So for those who aren't familiar with Average Joe's, can you tell us a bit about where it started and what it does?
Absolutely. So it started here on the Sunshine Coast, and last week is our 5-year birthday. Believe it, 5 years, which is flying. I'll tell you what, it feels like it's been a lot longer, but in a good way. But it did start here on the Sunshine Coast. It started in a pub in Mooloolaba called Taps. I didn't know the pub that well, but what had happened is I bought a house, and when I'd done that, we were talking to the real estate agent, and just in the conversations of buying the house, we realized that we had a lot in common. He was a really good guy, and I was still very new to the area. And the conversation just led to, hey, if you're free one afternoon, mate, we should grab a beer together. I said, oh, great idea. Let's just keep in touch. That'll be fantastic. 1 or 2 weeks passed. He sent me a text message. He said, hey, mate, you're good for that beer. I'm free on Thursday. I said, mate, lock it in. Went down to this pub there in Mooloolaba, grabbed a beer, and I've walked up to the counter, and there was a sign on the counter, and it said chicken wings. I've gone, oh, you've caught me. You've got me. So I've turned around to this new mate of mine and said, hey, buddy, I said, chicken wings. I said, you like wings? I said, yeah, grab some. So the lady at the counter, she said, well, you know what? If you come on a Wednesday instead of Thursdays, these wings are half price. So I've turned back around. I said, mate, half price wings on a Wednesday. I said, we need to lock this in to become a weekly thing. So it just become a bit of a joke. Anyway, Tuesday, the week after, I've sent him a text message. I said, hey, wingman, so we're good for those wings and the beer tomorrow? I said, yeah, absolutely we are. So sure enough, Wednesday came. It was 12 o'clock. We met up, and sure enough, he had some wings and hit off what we have now to be a great relationship. But what did happen was it lasted for about 3 months where we were going along every single week, and we started to set challenges for each other to be better men. But we had this rule that whatever got said at the table stayed at the table, that we held each other accountable. We would talk anything and anything, and we made a promise that the conversation was always going to be real, and that when we left the table, there'd be no judgment, there'd be no change of thoughts, because we knew that the conversation was so real that, mate, you're sharing what are thoughts and beliefs and challenges or whatever it is that you're going through. I'm doing the same, but in the midst of being honest, let's not judge each other when we've walked away, because you've got your own style of living, I've got my own style of living, we'll go from there. So that lasted for about 3 months until one day I've jumped in my car to go there and my car wouldn't start. So I've sent him a text. I said, mate, I'm going to be a tad bit late. I said, yeah, sure enough. So I got there 45 minutes late. Sat down. He said, look, if you're going to be late or you can't make it, just send me a text. We're good. We'll be back here next week anyway. I said, yeah, I get it. I look forward to this 1 hour a week. I said, I wasn't going to miss it. I said, the 1 hour a week where I can get together with another mate and we can be real, we can be challenging. We're talking all topics, mate. We were talking investing, we were talking marriage, we were talking growing up. I said, mate, I look forward to this 1 hour a week. I said, I wasn't going to miss it. He said, well, I'm glad you said that. He goes, I feel the same. I look forward to it. I said, well, if you and I look forward to it, surely there's other men in the community that would love to be a part of just a beer and wings and an honest, real open chat. You know, it wasn't a place to share feelings, things like that. We're real men. We weren't sitting there, you know, real honest conversations like real men. Anyway, so he goes, yeah, I think there'd be a lot of men out there that would feel the same. So I said, you know what? I said, grab your beer or grab a wing. I made a quick selfie and I'll put it on the community board on Facebook and see if anyone wants to join us next week. So sure enough, he's grabbed a wing. I've grabbed a beer, taken a quick photo. I did a very, very quick spiel on Facebook. I said, hey guys, you're new to the area or you've got a free 1 hour lunch break on a Wednesday. My mate and I meet here every week. We have beer, we have wings, we have a good, honest, real chat. I said, mate, good place to make friends, good place to just chew the fat, but we challenge each other to be better men. If you want to be a part of it, we'll see you next Wednesday. Put my phone down, thought nothing of it. Took a sip of my beer, looked down at my phone, and the conversation was just steamrolling. And wow, there's so much conversation that it had sparked. But I got a message straight away from the local paper, and they said, hey, we want to come and write a story about what you guys do. I said, well, if you can get a story from beer and wings, you can write whatever you like. So they said, you're going to be there in 10 minutes. I said, yeah, we'll be here in 10 minutes. And sure enough, 10 minutes later, up walks 2 big cameras and a journalist and asking us all these questions. And we're thinking, guys, come on, we're just beer and wings in a chat. I don't know what you're going to get from this. Anyway, a lot of the questions went down the lines of men's mental health, suicide, families, all this kind of stuff. And we said, guys, look, we're not experts in this, guys. We're just 2 average men just having a beer and a chat. It's not our expertise. I'm a plumber. He's a real estate agent. So we're just men keeping it real, right? So sure enough, they wrote an article which came out the next day. But what was interesting is that during the night, that post on Facebook hadn't stopped. It just gained so much momentum. I was getting messages predominantly from women, and it was all down the lines of, I wish something like this was around 2 years ago, because if it was, maybe my husband would have found solace in something like this and maybe wouldn't have killed himself. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, like, guys, it's beer and wings. I don't know what you're seeing of this, but this is what we're doing. What it showed me, though, more than anything, was the willing and the need and the necessity for men to connect. I hadn't seen it before. I was living it because I desired it, but I didn't realize that as a whole, men were lonely. As a whole, men were living in a place where this is what they were after, a simple place to get together and a challenge to be better. So the next morning, I would woke it up, front page of the paper, 2 average Joes, you have to change stigma. I'm going, well, here you go. You know what? I don't know about changing any kind of stigma, but the name Average Joe's is perfect. You don't get any average than me. You don't get any more average than my mate. So I've texted him and said, mate, you see the paper? I said, yeah. I said, look, I love the name Average Joe's. I said, because that's what we are. We're not psychologists. We're not doctors. We're not any of that. We're just average men, but we're all about a living above average. How can we challenge ourselves to be better? If you've got an average marriage, fantastic. How do you change your average to make it better? You've got an average business, great. How do you change average in your business to make it better? It doesn't matter what it is. So we thought, okay, well, let's see what happens next week and see if any other men really saw this as a benefit. 17 men turn up.
Wow.
Wow, okay, this is a lot bigger than what we thought. Fast forward about 3 months after that, we'd had 3 new meetups pop up. People that had contacted us said, mate, I saw your newspaper article. I saw your story. Do you mind if we start a group? Go for your life, start a group. So we realized one thing, though, was that in starting a place for men to get together, for the stories, for the conversations, that's one thing. But men can do that in a pub anywhere at any time and make no change, make no difference. So I thought, you know what? I'll start putting it out there, some topics for men to talk about. I'll do a couple of little points, maybe a story here or there, but I'll set the tone, I'll set the pace for men to go, right, this week we're going to be talking about this on purpose with an agenda to chew the fat on this. Because one of the great things about what we do in Average Joe, it's for 18 plus, but there's no limit on the other end. So you've got men that are young, middle-aged and older. And the things, when you get all that kind of experience and like lived experience together, you've got first-hand answers to things that men have actually gone through, marriages, businesses, all this kind of stuff. So it's not a matter of men going and trying to seek help. You're in a place where men have been there, done that. So after a while, we started to write these topics, and that's where we really started to explode. We started to see men meeting up with an agenda, men meeting up on purpose to go, what a great topic. When the topic gets discussed and you've got lived experience coming from that angle, go, interesting about this topic, because I've actually been through this with my son, or actually when my business, you've got all these lives coming together. And now fast forward to today, we have 15 meetups in 3 countries. We're about to be in our 4th, being in the UK. We have learned a lot of cultural differences. Australians are just different, or maybe I'm just different. I don't know. But we've learned a lot of cultural differences in topics, in approaches to things. So it's been a learning curve, but it's been a good one. It's been fantastic.
Something comes to mind when you're telling that story is that, A, you're a very brave man to put something on the Sunshine Coast notice board on Facebook, because that is brutal in itself in the responses. The second was, it almost sounded like the start of a great joke, like a plumber and a real estate agent walking to a pub. But what I love about it, and I have this discussion quite frequently with guys who are setting up groups or whatever, and there's 2 sides of the fence. There's one that says, just keep it open, let them talk about whatever. The other defense is, give them a topic to talk about. And I think the topics, what I particularly love about Average Joes, is if you give a guy something to talk about, they can go past the usual same old. Like, oh, how's work? How's the wife? How's the kids? How's your job? How's the food?
Yep.
And it's very superficial. So I love how you actually give the topics and you explore the topics and help men to become above average in those particular topics. Because you're right, we have such a wealth of lived experience in so many areas, but without the platform often, or without the encouragement to go to those places, which a lot of guys actually want to do.
Absolutely. You're spot on, mate. And one thing I'll say on that too, you said something very interesting. I've noticed this about men. You'll notice this about me the moment I say it. You give a man an opportunity to give you a 1-word answer, he's going to give you a 1-word answer. Hey, mate, how you going? Good. How you going? Good. Okay. Wow, that was it. That was deep, wasn't it? But it's the truth. So one thing we do in AJ's is we don't ask how you're going. In fact, I'm going to be even brave enough to say this. I'll probably get ridiculed for this. We don't ask people, are you okay? Because it's an opportunity to give a 1-word answer, and that's what you're going to get with me. So we say, tell me about it, because that puts men in a position to go, okay, well, the week started okay on Monday. Tuesday was a bit, all of a sudden, it's conversational. It's not, doing good? Yeah. You doing good? Yeah. Because the truth is they're not anyway. But even if they weren't, you've opened up the door for a 1-word answer. And that's what they give. It's got to go deeper than that.
We talked a bit about loneliness earlier, and there's been some reports out recently from the ABC and the like around men's loneliness and how it's becoming a real issue, and it's feeding into things like data around suicide and family domestic violence, mental health, and so community is really important, and that's what Average Joe's provides. It's community, but it's not just communities around beer and wings as well, because I know some guys might struggle to go to a pub through addiction or whatever. So tell us a bit about some of the other kind of meetups and what they look like as well. It's not just about the pub stuff.
Absolutely. So we meet up in cafes as well because of that very reason exactly. Not all men drink. And not only that, there are men out there that have struggled with the drink. So we totally get that. What we do when it comes to starting an Average Joe, picking a place where one's going to be, I leave that up to the host. I don't approach people and say, hey, how about you start one? We get approached. When we do, we work with the host to say, okay, what are your thoughts in your area? What works? What's a standout location? Where do people go? Where do men go? Right. So we work with that. It's either a pub or a cafe. And it's for those reasons. Some guys have a beer, some guys have a coffee. But what's interesting about the whole pub and cafe scene, there's two that I go to that are at pubs. I never get a beer. I never get a wine. I never get a whiskey. I get a soda and water. And I do that on purpose. One reason, I'm not a big beer drinker anyway, right? But I do it for this reason. We do get men that come with a history. And when you put men in a place where they feel they aren't strong enough, I get it. And I would suggest to men, and I teach this to my kids too, is that if there's areas in your life where you struggle, the first thing to do is don't put yourself in the area because you're removing the temptation from whatever it is. If you're not there, the temptation is a hell of a lot less, right? But we do get men come that have had a history with alcohol. So when they come and they see 10, 12 other men come to a pub and they're able to not order a beer, all of a sudden it makes them themselves think, well, if they can do it. If they can drag themselves here and for an hour, hour and a half, not order a beer, it's doable. Because a lot of men out there will have their wording, I can't do it, mate. I can't do it. I go there or order a beer. It's impossible. No, it's possible. It is possible because 11 other men do it. 11 other men rock up and order a soda water, order a Coke, get an orange juice. All of a sudden, they are with their own eyeballs seeing other men do what they have said for so long is impossible. So all of a sudden, you see the change in men go, all right, well, if they can order a soda water, I'll get a soda water. Well done. So we do get that a lot, actually. We get a lot of people say, oh, you've got all these men out there that do find it hard and they struggle. So why go to a pub? Well, a lot of men hang out in pubs. It's the old saying, if you're a doctor, you don't hang out with healthy people. Doctors go to hospital where sick people are. We go to pubs because quite often we'll say to people when you're hosting a group, you see a bloke come in there and he's having a beer by himself. Go up and say, g'day, how you doing? We've got AJ's group. Don't sit here by yourself. Come and join us. And all of a sudden, that guy starts coming every single week. That's where men are. I'm not going to sit down and put an advertisement out and say, hey, you men come to us. Go to the men. So men hang out in pubs. They just do. Not all men, but a lot of men do.